Hey everyone, I'm the guy and this is another layout update, and in this video I'm showing you my very first attempt at actual scenery using a variety of methods and different mediums. Now I'm not going to go into too much detail so I can keep the video as short as possible, but there will be an upcoming video where I'll go into more detail, so let's get to it. This is an overview of Williams Pass, and if you've been following along, we did the basic scene prep by using a hot wire foam knife to do most of the sculpting. And before we start our scenery, we need to glue the track down first. Now, I go ahead and trace exactly where my track is right now because it's not glued down in this state. So I trace it because I'm going to completely remove the track, everything that's not actually attached via the joiners that I made in a different video as well. So I can, freely apply the glue without having to worry about the track. Now, I'm not using any type of special glue. I think this is like siding sealant or something like that, but it's all purpose. It says all purpose on the instructions. So you can see I just put a huge bead of it down the center because the Kato track is actually hollow in the center, so I actually have to put quite a bit. Now, when I put the track back on with the glue, I give it a little wiggle, make sure I have enough glue there basically to hold it. That's why I put so much. And when I place the track back in, I try not to put the glue where the joiners are, but right here you can tell I didn't mark where it was, so whatever. Now, to make sure it stays in place, I duct tape everything down that I glued just in case I bump it. Don't want it moving around. Now, while everything's drying on the track with the glue, I go ahead and get my drywall patch tape or whatever it is, and I use it to fill these big gaps or holes from the foam, because when I cut foam, it's not perfect. Now, while I was looking at the Williams Pass again, I noticed there's too much empty space between the cliffside and where the track is, so I decided to use some spare foam pieces that I cut from my scenery shaping and kind of just put something there, something extra. And after I glued them there, I shaved them down with a foam knife, and I think they came out pretty good. Now, while I was cutting these, at that moment, I was like, I want some rock facings right next to the track because I don't want it to look uniform, all the rock facings in the back by the cliff and then soft rolling hills right next to the track. You got to mix it up. And if it, perfectly imperfect, I'll keep saying that all the time, if it is randomized and you do things just on a whim, it'll come out really, really good. Now, I don't know how to do scenery texture or anything like that. I'm trying to think what's easiest because my layout it's huge, right? So I cut up a bunch of toilet paper. I think it's 2-ply, I don't know. And some of you might be like, that's crazy, toilet paper, sometimes you can't find that in the store and it's expensive, but it's cheap where I get it. So I just get a 50-50 mixture of glue and water and toilet paper, and I basically paper mache my texture onto the surfaces. Now, if I could do a redo, what I'll do is I'll paper mache with our mixture here on horizontal surfaces, but anything that's going vertical, I learned to, if I'm going to be plastering, don't put this where I'm going to be plastering because I didn't catch it on camera, but when I was putting plaster on some of these rock facings, basically, it would pull some of that stuff off because it makes it wet again. And another thing I wanted to use this for is because you can actually add texture just with the brush, right? You don't have to do anything. The texture of the toilet paper itself is great, but then you can use your brush right here and just boom, get exactly what you want going. And I gave a little experiment mid video. I was like, hey, my daughter was helping me, hey, let's just use paper towels, it covers more, right? And for the huge flat areas, it made sense to me, and I still might do it. It took a lot more glue and more time, so I don't know if it was actually worth it doing the thicker stuff compared to toilet paper, but I think it comes out because it's easier to shape and texture a paper towel than toilet paper. Now, I've never used plaster in my life before, so it was really white when I was mixing it, and I was like, how am I even going to see if I have plaster on like white toilet paper? So what I did is add a little bit of paint to it so I could see what I'm doing, and because I had to be conscious of like if you could see it, you know, on the camera. So I basically just smeared on there, and I had no idea what I was doing. I basically just scratched a bunch of lines. I didn't use any cameras, or not cameras, any pictures as references. I kind of just like eyeballed it the whole time. Anything that looked like it was dripping, I shaved down. So here's the overall view of it. And then I decided to do some quick housekeeping, and then the painting comes. So before we started painting, I did some research about like the wet method where you paint and then put the scenery material right on there. And I'm like, yeah, we're going to do that, you know, like totally save money on glue and things like that. And my daughter had fun. She did all this scenery right here because she likes, you know, sprinkling all over the place. She was jumping around, sprinkling it. It was quite funny. So I'm going to finish the video right here and end with some slow motion shots of the final product. If you've enjoyed this video, please feel free to subscribe and comment with any questions or opinions down below, and I'll see you next time.